As the number of COVID-19 cases continue to rise, persons are advised to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and families. These include wearing your face masks every time you leave your homes, practicing social distancing, and sanitizing or washing your hands frequently. Welcome to InfoHub for Wednesday, August 19. We continue to highlight the work of the PPPC administration as it works towards enhancing the lives of all Guyanese. Thanks for joining us. The PPPC government is taking a national holistic approach in its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which will see citizens and businesses benefiting from relief measures. His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, today in an address to the nation, outlined this plan.
The head of state reported that in addition to the recently announced $4.5 billion for the emergency response to households during the COVID-19 pandemic, monies are also being secured from several international partners.
Resources is important. Notwithstanding the present state of our economy and the unavailability of resources, I announced a $4.5 billion allocation to assist in our COVID response. In addition, we are in the process of mobilizing approximately $60 million from the World Bank, OFID, IDB, and the Islamic Development Bank. This is in addition to the $2 million grant received from the government of India. These are outside other bilateral support we have received and are in the process of receiving.
Dr. Ali also announced a multi-million-dollar support to the education sector during the pandemic.
Whilst we'll make available $500 million to equip schools and provide COVID-19 support services and facilities for our children and teachers, the ultimate goal is to have our schools in a state of readiness at the earliest. In the interim, the ministry has been tasked to put the infrastructure in place for the delivery of the curriculum via the Learning Channel, state radio broadcasting, and privately owned media houses.
The $1.5 billion infectious disease hospital, the head of state said, will be used for the isolation of COVID-19 patients. President Ali also introduced a range of new measures to be taken by the commercial banks to assist customers and the economy to a wider extent.
Commercial banks agreed to continue supporting businesses with short-term working capital needs to meet payroll and other short-term funding requirements at concessional rates between 5 to 6% to encourage businesses to remain open. The current average short-term financing rate ranges from 8 to 11%, making this reduction a significant step towards promoting business continuity. Commercial banks agreed to offer general concessional reduction of interest rate of 1% and up to 2% on customer loans below $10 million until December 30th, 2020.
Minister of Public Works Honorable Bishop Juan Edgehill and Minister within the Ministry Honorable Deodat Indar today updated the media on the various measures being taken by the new administration to provide enhanced services to all Guyanese.
Starting off with the Guyana Civil and Aviation Authority, Minister Edgehill said the issue of late and delayed flight approvals were addressed. The move by the ministry will allow Guyanese abroad to be up to date with flight schedules inbound and outbound.
Today I'm happy to announce that flights have been approved for the months of September and October by Eastern Airlines. This will be charter flights for September and for October. Civil Aviation Authority will publish the dates so that all interested parties could be aware. And these are flights for New York and Miami. As it relates to flights to Toronto, Canada, That is a work in progress. As of noon, the latest communication that I have is that engagements with WestJet and Caribbean Airlines are ongoing to ensure a similar type arrangement to be put in place for chartered flights at specified times, observing all of the COVID-19 protocols, both locally and internationally, can be adhered to.
Minister Edgell pointed out that the Transport and Harbors Department continues to provide services to those commuting to the Northwest, Bartica, and Region 2 areas. Services are available to those traveling to Supernam, Leguan, and Wakenham.
They have been renewed and revised, more frequent arrangements so that the backlog and the backup of trucks with goods and people to be moved into the various areas are being remedied.
While there is a lockdown in some of the communities mentioned, the minister noted that on Tuesday morning a ferry departed to Bartica with another departure set for Friday. This is to ensure that goods and supplies are not cut off from these districts. The Transport and Harbour Department will soon be publishing its work schedule for the public's benefit. Meanwhile, the mismanagement of several major infrastructural works by the former coalition government over the past years was highlighted.
The Sheriff Mandela upgrade, the Sheriff Road widening and upgrade. Currently, all users of that road would recognize no work is going. This has been stalled. And it's not purely as a result of COVID-19. It is as a result of mismanagement of this project. And this seems to be the hallmark. Almost every project you go into, there are issues, there are problems, unresolved matters. And while the project is being stalled, the road is deteriorating and there are issues. I have since instructed the supervisory consultant and the contractors to get on with this project. A new work plan should be provided, and I've engaged the funding agency, the Inter-American Development Bank, as to all of the environmental issues and other issues that surrounded this project that caused it to be stalled, and to stop the flows of money towards the project, and we should see some movement on that.
A priority on the government's agenda is the Hinterland Electrification Program.
But I'm saddened to report to the nation that when we arrived at the Ministry of Public Works, the 7 areas that are to be served by generated power in the Hinterland Electricity Program, those generators have not been adequately maintained and serviced. And there was an immediate request for $281 million, almost $282 million, to carry out much needed repairs to these generators.
Meanwhile, Minister Edgell pointed to a major intervention.
We have a major breach in the Maikoni area, the Danzig-Maikoni area, which started out as a 200-meter breach. God knows what transpired as it relates to the management of sealing that breach, and a 200-meter breach ended up being 5 kilometers plus. And as of yesterday morning, there was an additional breach in the very same area of more than 100 meters. Residents in the community are currently flooded. Farmers, poultry rearers, and other businesses and families are severely affected. As of yesterday afternoon, and just before I came to this press conference, we have engaged the permanent secretary of the ministry and the other technical officers to arrange for emergency works to be done and to ensure that financing from whatever is available outside of a budget can be utilized to bring relief to the people of that community.
Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Honorable Deodat Indar, also pointed to some of the badly managed projects in the energy sector, which the PPPC government has now inherited.
What we have inherited is an institution that has only benefited on the 5 long years 3 Caterpillar generating sets to the cost of about $1 million, $1 million US dollars. That is the only amount that the coalition government saw fit as capital injection into GPL to enable more generating capacity. As we are now, residents throughout the country would be experiencing some level of power outages. And the reason for that is because the peak demand, as we speak, it's around 117 megawatts. And the capacity, it's 117 to 120 megawatts, the capacity of output. So anytime there's an issue with any one of the generating sets throughout GPL's substation systems at Garden of Eden, at Kingston, at Widenhoop, at Unverwatt, anytime there's an issue with generator failures, system tripping, you will experience blackout. There are news that the 46.5 megawatt station is being constructed at Garden of Eden. Just to be clear with the citizens, the civil works for that project, it's only 14% complete, and that completion is tabled for April 2021. That is a long time out. The generators that were purchased, 5 of them in total, are still in Finland. They have not yet been transported on any ship bound for Guyana. So in the meantime, from now until the arrival of those generating sets and the commissioning of them and hooking them up into the system, we are left with a state where the capacity that we have to generate power is equivalent to the demand.
The government of India has allocated $1 million US from the Quick Impact Development Project to support Guyana's response to COVID-19.
The initiative is being implemented jointly by the Ministry of Health, the Pan American Health Organization PAHO, and the United Nations Development Programme UNDP to support Guyana's response to COVID-19. Signing the agreement were the Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, the Indian High Commissioner, Dr. K. J. Srivansa, PAHO WHO Country Representative, Dr. William Adukro, and the United Nations Resident Coordinator, Mikiko Tanaka. Dr. Anthony further revealed that Guyana will be receiving 29 ventilators as part of the $1 million donation from the Indian government.
As you know, PPE is one of the things that we really need to protect our frontline workers. And without it, a lot of people are going to get sick. And so your gesture has been, a good one, but more than good, because the ventilators that you mentioned, there are 29 ventilators that are coming, and those ventilators are going to save lives.
The Indian High Commissioner explained that the government of India has been assisting many countries across the world as part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's efforts to coordinate the COVID-19 worldwide response.
As part of this effort, we coordinated with our permanent mission to the United Nations in New York, and we requested them that this project be funded with utmost urgency because this will help Guyana to improve its ability to fight against the pandemic.
A total of 100 countries have benefited from medical equipment, personal protective equipment PPEs, emergency room medicines, and monetary aid from the Indian government. PAHO WHO Country Representative Dr. William Adukro noted that a quantity of medical supplies and PPE have already been procured and are expected to arrive in Guyana shortly. Letitia Isaacs, Foreign Info Hub.
Meantime, given a backlog of COVID-19 tests to be processed, the new PPPC government continues to seek ways in which this can be addressed efficiently.
According to Director of the Georgetown Public Hospital's Medical Laboratory, Dr. Fiona Mohammed Rambaran, with the recent intensification of testing countrywide by the Health Ministry, more test samples are being processed.
Based on what we're seeing is in the fields, there's a lot more samples being taken. So for example, on an average, we'll get between 200 to 300 samples on a daily basis. But our laboratory's capacity currently is only able to test maybe a maximum of 140. So there's always that backlog of samples waiting to be tested.
In collaboration with PAHO WHO, the Health Ministry has begun training more medical laboratory technologists. Essentially, at least 18 laboratory technologists will be available to be placed on rotation to process test samples.
With this training that we're having for the staff, it is hoped that maybe within the next week to 2 weeks, we can improve on that, increase our capacity to 300 samples, right? But that means we'll have to extend the hours of services that we have, and we'll have to build the number of teams that we have working. So the aim ultimately is to work 24 hours.
More news after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The PPPC government continues to demonstrate the importance of collaboration in tackling COVID-19. In this regard, Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Kwame McCoy, and Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, met with local entertainers to discuss their involvement in conveying precautionary messages to Guyanese. The meeting was this afternoon hosted at the Arthur Chung Conference Center.
It is a necessary measure to be able to help us to fight against this disease, and as a result, we would like to utilize the skills and the expertise, the influence that reside in all of you here to be able to talk to your fan base and your constituent and within your family circle and elsewhere to work in such a coordinated manner. That's the thing, coordinated manner, a uniform manner. We all have to be on one uniform page, one uniform pathway. And therefore, it is important that we will be starting with the entertainers. Of course, we're going to be expanding with other groups where we would want to utilize their services as well. So it is absolutely important.
That was the Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Kwame McCoy, relaying the importance of local entertainers in delivering the COVID-19 health protocol messages. Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, echoed similar sentiments.
Our appeal is simple. If each one of us wants to stay safe, then we need to ensure that everybody practicing the right thing. Because if we do the right thing, then all of us are going to be safe. But if some of us are doing the right thing and many others are not doing it, then we'll have the infection continuing to spread in the country. So our appeal is very simple. We need you to extend our reach to different people, different audiences, so that we can get the messaging across.
Kerwin Bollers, who has been in the entertainment industry for over 20 years, encouraged his fan base and all Guyanese to follow all the health protocols in the fight against COVID-19.
I think it was a very good decision by the government to engage the DJs and the entertainers because of the impact and the following that they have. I believe that they will definitely be an asset to really getting the message out towards the fight of COVID-19. Well, I believe it's the fight with COVID-19 is all of our business, and whether or not you actually approach to pretty much be involved in the fight, I think you should do it because we all have families, we have friends, and as a businessman, I mean, everybody wants to get back to normalcy.
Founder of Team MMR, a local entertainment agency, W.R. Riaz, highlighted the significance of the government recognizing entertainers and conveying messages to Guyanese in the fight against COVID-19.
Well, indeed, it is a serious something, and it is something that we ought to adhere to rules. Life teaches us about rules, and we ought to live by them. The important thing is you ought to start wearing a mask publicly. So I would encourage fellow Guyanese and fans of Team MMR to utilize a mask. It doesn't cost us anything. It saves our lives and saves others' lives as well.
For InfoHub, Gavin Lewis.
In more COVID-related news, the government, through the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, distributed some 40 hampers to the residents of Sideline Dam, All Boys Town, in efforts to provide support during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Honorable Nigel Dharamlal, restated the PPP Civic government's commitment to providing COVID-19 relief to all citizens.
We thought, as part of our humanitarian outreach as a government, Dr. Irfan Ali has asked that we present to you. We have some hampers. We hope that it is going to be of use to you and benefit to you, and you can use it to take care of your families. We have to go across the entire country, so we're very grateful as part of the outreach of our government. We recently came into office, as you're aware, and we're every day on the ground meeting with people, seeking help for their needs, and this is part of our support to communities, vulnerable communities and vulnerable families, as we reach out during this these very trying times.
Minister within the ministry, Honorable Anand Prasad, reminded residents to follow all health guidelines to curtail the spread of the novel coronavirus.
This is the first of many outreaches that we will have throughout this country to support and to help and to assist residents in the depressed communities. I want to tell you on a very serious note that COVID-19 is serious business, and you need to encourage yourselves and your families to wear a mask and to sanitize. That is the only way we can stop this pandemic from taking our lives in this country and throughout the world. One life is too many. One life that is taken through COVID is too many for Guyana. So we're asking you to please adhere to the protocols.
A resident of Sideline Dam, Anita Thorne, expressed her appreciation for the government's contribution.
I thank the PPPC government for its good job. What they are doing, they don't have race, creed, nor color. They are sharing to each and every one here because everybody needs. And we want to give them great thanks because since the COVID-19, this is the first time here. Have a clap. We collected something under the PPPC.
For InfoHub, Gavin Lewis.
During a recent visit to Region 1, Minister of Housing and Water, Honorable Colin Crowell, noted that under the new PPPC government, the indigenous communities can expect an improved water system.
One of the things we are seeking immediately to do is to ensure that we have the right tracking mechanism, and it is for that reason that this afternoon Chairman mentioned that we're commissioning a boat. That is to ensure that our officers have the transportation needs to be able to move around and monitor.
That was the Minister of Housing and Water, Honorable Colin Crowell, laying out part of the plan his ministry has to improve water access in Region 1. Directly addressing the water woes in Mabaruma, Minister Crowell stated that the PPP civic government has created an emergency budget aimed at bringing relief.
As an immediate measure to have a catchment area that was constructed so that we can have the pumping of water within this central community. And as a long-term measure, there's another project under the CDB that I now found out. And so we will do a study, we'll conduct a water management study to see how best we can develop the water system here within Mabaruma. So the short-term measures for the reservoir because there's an immediate need.
Methods to further guarantee water access in the hinterland region were also identified by the minister.
One of the other things we have discussed is to utilize the method of more of the roof catchment of the water. That is something we're trying to look at that we can maximize. Yes, you have dry period, the water won't come, rain won't fall, but as far as practical, if you can have more persons storing the water, utilizing from the rooftops, we can at least, in a basic way, have that constant flow.
Minister Crowell concluded by assuring citizens that the PPP civic government will ensure everyone benefits from the necessary services.
We are here to improve the life of everyone. If we're not improving the lives of our citizens, then we're wasting time. And that is what we're interested in as a government. It's not about turf who has responsibility for this, about a helping hand.
For InfoHub, Gavin Lewis.
Remember to do your part to ensure you do not put yourself at risk during this time. If you have a cough, fever, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early, but call the hotline first. That's all for today. Connect with us on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and visit our website, dpi.gov.gy, as we bring you the latest and important news on what the government is doing to ensure the continued development of our country. Your Bridge reports are up next. Goodbye.